Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel where I have one mission, and that is to get you living an aligned life, living in your truth and manifesting, i.e. creating your ideal life and living it. It gets to be simple, and I want to help you do that. In today's video, I'm talking about building boundaries. So why do we build boundaries? How can we figure out what boundaries we need? And then how can we communicate those boundaries to people already in our lives, people coming into our lives, and just even sometimes to ourselves? Okay, so it goes without say that building boundaries, one of the benefits of that is really to protect yourself. So protecting your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, everything, depending on what kind of boundary it is you've got in mind. Another advantage of having and communicating boundaries is that it increases your confidence. And when you have more confidence, I think the benefits of that are self-explanatory. You're also then showing yourself respect and showing yourself love. So building boundaries is a form of self-love. And when you do that, when you have that, your ego, which is that little brain or that little mind inside you that acts out of fear, is likely to step back because it's like, oh, do you know what? I'm protected, so I don't need to be clutching at straws because everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. And then lastly, it makes it easier for you to be able to reprogram your mind or change those limiting beliefs and then manifest. Like if you have those boundaries, you're then able to manifest in peace. You're able to design your life in peace and you feel more confident stepping into it. So if you're like me, where I was 18 months to a year ago when I started this journey, I was like, okay, cool, I'm ready to communicate boundaries, but what boundaries do I need to communicate? I was literally like, I don't know. I mean, this person has that boundary, so I guess I should communicate that boundary. Oh, I don't need that boundary because nobody else has it. And essentially, step one in terms of getting to know what boundaries you have and then communicate them is self-awareness. So this is literally taking time to get to know yourself, get to know what you enjoy, get to know what it is that you need in order to, as Oprah says, fill up your cup. What do you need to be your best self? What do you need to step into your truth, to step into your full potential? What is it that you need in order to be that person? And then already you know what kind of boundaries you need around your time, around your energy, around your physical space. Maybe you're someone who needs a clean area at all times, then having your boundaries set in terms of your cleanliness, for example. What do you need in order to be your best self? I'm talking about what kind of conversations are you available for? When are you available for deep conversations? What kind of texts do you have? What times? Is it not okay to call you? Like I have some really good friends who anytime after 8 o'clock, if you call them, they're not picking up the phone. And they have communicated that boundary and said exactly why, because they need their evenings to wind down and just be themselves. So really look at what you need, not what everybody else around you needs, but what you need. Next up is prioritizing self-care. What is a must-have for you when it comes to self-care? What has to be there? Like 100%. Listen, for my self-care, I need at least an hour every evening to read my book, or I need a bath, I need a face mask, I need a massage once a month, whatever it is you need. Like, what are those things that you need when it comes to self-care, and really prioritizing that. Okay, then you've got that list, right, of what it is you need, what kind of environment, what self-care you need. Now look at the relationships around you. Which of those relationships are making it difficult for you to get everything that you need, or are making it become a little dance to be like, oh, okay, fine. So, I need to have no calls after 8, but I guess it's 8:29 because Becky really needed to speak to me. I say Becky because, good hair, Becky with the good hair. Okay, then analyze your past relationships. So not just with like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, not just those kinds of relationships, but even with friendships and with family, where those relationships might have gone sour a little bit or might have been a bit more difficult, i.e. stepped over certain boundaries. What is it that went wrong? Like, what boundaries were they overstepping? What was that thing that, if I had communicated, hey, dude, don't step over this line, don't cross this line, don't speak about this, then it wouldn't have been as sour as it turned out to be, for example. And then when you look at those relationships, is there a pattern? Is there a pattern to like how, what boundaries, what they were stepping on? You know, what pattern is there that you're seeing through those relationships that could then be a red flag or an orange flag for you to set up a boundary? Okay, now look at your goals, right? Look at your vision board. Look at your goals if you don't have a vision board, and just what do you need in order to get to those goals? When I say what do you need, I mean in terms of you and your self-care, your self-awareness, your schedule, you prioritizing your mental health, your physical health, your wealth, your surroundings, all those things I mentioned earlier, and things in the notes as well. What is it that you need in order to get to those goals? Like, in order for you to be able to work towards those goals without feeling like you are overstraining yourself, without feeling like you're pushing yourself too much. And then when it comes to your goals as well, what takes you off course? So what sort of things would, you know, some people are like, oh no, she walked into my house with a bottle of wine, I couldn't say no. If that's something that takes you off course, then maybe you need to set boundaries to say, listen, on Thursdays and Saturdays are for content or are for my goals. So do not come to my house with a bottle of wine, otherwise you won't be allowed in. And then that temptation is no longer there for you. And that's pretty much how you can get yourself started when it comes to figuring out what boundaries that you want. Okay, so when it comes to communicating the boundaries, now you're like, okay, so these are the ideal boundaries I have, but how do I then start to go to the people in my networks and communicate these boundaries? I got you. If you're like me, I mean, I'm better now, but I had a fear of confrontation. So I would not be able to communicate the boundary unless the other person brought up the conversation. So something you can do is practice the conversation, whether it's by yourself, whether it's in the mirror, whether it's with a friend or a family member, you know, really practice that conversation. So when it comes to speaking to the person that you want to build the boundary with, you've had that practice. Secondly, start small. So start with the smaller things. You know, if you're thinking, oh, I can't just have a big, overwhelming boundary conversation, start with the teeny weeny things. Oh, I'm now working towards my goals, so I need to set stuff in place, and in order for me to be able to do that, I'm going to need an hour a day for my own time, full stop. That's one boundary. And then slowly but surely you get more confidence, remember? And as you get that confidence, you're then able to build up those boundaries. Like, you're then able to build up what boundaries you're communicating to the people. Okay, so set the scene. If you can, go somewhere neutral. If you live together, if you live with this person, it's not a good idea to do it in that house, because you all have different spots of that house that mean different things to you. Don't do it at their house, don't do it at your house. Even if it's just outside in a park, if you can go to a coffee shop, a restaurant, just anywhere that's a completely neutral place, to not your place, not his energy, her energy, but somewhere completely away from it, you know. Because also another thing is, some people can take boundary conversations quite difficult. And if you are, let's say you're at home and you keep looking at a specific plant, then I'm going to associate that plant with that negative conversation. Before you know it, I'm hating on that plant and I'm associating you with that plant. And every time I see that plant, I start building resentment. So really going somewhere neutral helps when it comes to these types of conversations. The person that you're speaking to, do you know their communication style? Do you know how they like to speak? Are they confrontational? Are they dance around it? Are they so much detail? Are they abrupt and to the point? What is their, how do they communicate? So not change the truth, but communicate in their communication style. I know there are loads of videos and books and stuff about different communication styles. So if you need to just have a quick browse on different types of communication styles and figuring out how this person communicates, take a look and then plan your words accordingly. Okay, and then in the words of my sweet, sweet Brittany, communicate the whole truth, not the bitter truth, not the sweet truth, not the sugar-coated truth, the truth as it is. Communicate that boundary, and in an objective way, not in a victim way, not in an accusatory way, but in a way that it's like, listen, this boundary is something that I need to set up in order for me to be my best version, in order for me to be happy, to live my life. They can't argue with that, can they? And then lastly, explain how them respecting that boundary will increase the quality of your relationship, because you're less like, well, there are less reasons for you to be getting angry at that specific person. There are less reasons for y'all to be stepping on each other's toes, and it just makes life a little bit smoother. And that's basically it, guys. These are my tips. These are things that have worked for me, so definitely try them out and let me know how it works for you. Was it nice and easy? Was it smooth? What was difficult? Do you want me to go into detail for anything else? And I am always here to support you. I'm Tanya Rose Coach on Instagram. My links are at the bottom of this video. They will always be up to date, so definitely get in touch with me and connect, or comment in the comments what's worked for you. And remember, guys, subscribe and hit the little bell if you like this content. Mwah.